it's Christine and welcome. We're here at the Rockville branch of the Pamunkey Regional Library, and today we're going to make a painting. So feel free to follow along. This will be up on YouTube, so you can pause it however much you need to, and feel free to mix things up. You don't have to follow along exactly as I have done it, or if you just want to watch, then welcome. Thanks for stopping by. So today we're going to paint a little mountain scene at sunset. So I've already gone ahead and drawn some lines on the canvas, just some broad shapes of what I plan to paint. I also have a cup of water for cleaning my brushes, a paper towel for drying my brushes, or if I just want to blot some excess color, some paint brushes. You don't need very expensive paint brushes. These were probably bought at the dollar store maybe. They were just things that we already had at the branch. You're going to definitely need one that is a little wider to fill in larger spaces of color, and then smaller ones for smaller details. If you have a small brush that has stiffer bristles and a fine point, that would also be really good for some small details. You will also need either a plate or a palette to put your paints on. Today I'm not working with a very large palette of colors. I've got some black, and again, these are not very expensive acrylic paints. These are Craftsman. They're probably a couple dollars each per tube. We're gonna do some black, some white. Definitely don't skimp on the white. We may need to add more later. I have some dark blue. Some red. And some yellow. It'll come out today. Oh, there we go. Okay, and those are all the colors we're going to be using today. So I'm going to start off by taking my palette, and I'm going to start off with the sky. I'm going to wet my brush just a little bit, and I'm going to start mixing on my palette, which in this case is a paper plate, some blue and a lot of white, and just a little bit of the red. And you're going to just want to mix until you get something that you're happy with. I'm planning to make this quite pale. Sort of a periwinkle color. And then just start applying the paint to the canvas. If you're not happy with the color, you can go back and keep mixing. You can always cover up what you've already done. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to make it flow a little easier. Now, because it's at sunset, as it goes down, I want to have a bit of a gradient. So I'm going to add a bit more red to our sky color to make it a little bit more of those purple tones that comes at sunset. I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to sort of mix it and blend it upwards into the blue a little bit. Just very light strokes where you're blending. You might want to thin out your paint a little bit more with the water when you're going over lines that you may want to see later. little bit more red, a little bit more white. Water. And then right at the bottom here, I've decided that I want a pretty bright pink, sort of that dying sun look. So I'm gonna mostly clean my brush off so I can start. Maybe a little bit of orange in there too. Here we go. Sort of tracing over the ridge of these mountains. And I'm going to clean my brush a little so I can blend those colors in to the rest of our sky. Mix up a little bit more of the blue just to blend down. Make sure. I can even use my finger just to move that color up a little bit. Okay. Next, we're going to go ahead and do our sun. So I can still see the faintest outline of where my sun was, but I'm going to make sure I go ahead and do that. Otherwise I might forget about it. Okay. I'm just going to take a slightly smaller brush. And I'm mixing white and yellow. I really want it to be more of a lemony yellow because at this point the sun has been going down, so it won't be as bright. It's just those last dying rays. You may find that your canvas is still too wet with the background sky color. You can certainly wait till it dries a little. But if you just have a light touch and don't blend it in too much, you should be okay. Hardest part of this is making sure everything is clean edges. And unfortunately, I don't always have the most steady of hands. So it's pretty good. I'm just going to put a little bit more paint over top. looking pretty good. I also just want to add a tad of orange, so I'm going to mix up some orange. And then I'm going to thin this out with quite a bit of water because I just want to brush it on in a light wash. I'm going to take some of that off my brush. A little bit too much, I'm just going to use my finger to just push it through. So if there's any little spots that maybe you didn't miss or that you didn't get, you can just go ahead and fill them in now. Okay. Pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the mountains now. So the first layer of mountains is going to be very hazy. So we're going to go ahead and take a light purple color and then just add a ton of white to it. Also going to try and thin this out because I sort of want it to look misty in the background. When you look at something far away, it gets bluer and fuzzier. Some of that color off by wiping my brush almost clean and then using the color that's already on the canvas and moving that around. okay for now. If we don't like it, we can always go back and change it. So next we're going to mix up a slightly darker purple. Not quite so much white. So blue, red, still some white. Each layer is going to get progressively darker as we go down. Just added a little bit more red just to make it pop a little bit more. I think I'm probably going to add more white too. And so as you can see, you can mix some right on your canvas too. Empty spots up there. Again, I'm using a little water to basically drag the paint around that I already have on my canvas. It does lighten the color up a little bit, but in this case, that's sort of what I wanted as well. Getting the line at the bottom, separating it and the next mountain. Because I can go over a little bit, but I don't want to make the line too messy. I do want to make that top line as crisp as I can. Probably mess with this all day. Okay, so now we're going to do the exact same thing, making our next mountain layer a slightly darker purple. So we're going to start adding a bit more blue, a little less white, and a little less red. So now I'm actually also going to take a little smaller brush and thin out this color with some water. And then I'm just going to take it along the ridge of that first mountain to try and define it and give it sort of a shadow. You just want to put it on very lightly, a little bit more crisp and dark on the edge, and then you can always sort of blend it out into the rest of the mountain. Okay, so there you go. So we're going to move on to this third mountain. And again, we're going to make it darker and bluer. So blue. So this is mainly just that dark blue color. Okay, that seems like that will work for us. just a tad lighter. Okay. And I'm going to do what I did last time, thin it down and do the outline of the last mountain before it. And I'm just blurring that line a little bit so it's not quite so harsh, but still has that little defined shadow. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next color mountain. So we're going to take colors we had before, and then we're going to add a little bit of black. We may need to go back and lighten that one up a little bit. We will see. think that's okay. We'll do the same as before, our little brush and the outline of the mountain. Okay, so now we're on the last layer, which is going to be the darkest part of the mountain, sort of the cliff that we, I guess, are standing on, looking out. So we're going to add a good amount of blue and quite a bit of black as well. Don't want it to be black, but we want it to be pretty close. I mean, we need it to be darker than this color here. That looks pretty good. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And again, we're going to do that other step. Take the color, do it. I have paint on my hand. Here we go. Okay, and now for the outline of this last ridge, we're just going to use some black. So we're done with the background. So now we're going to do some foreground work. So what we're going to do is, because it's at sunset, we're going to put in some silhouettes of some trees, and in the background we're also going to do some little birds. So I'm going to go ahead and do the birds first. I'm going to go in with my tiny brush, and I'm going to dry it to try and make a point with my brush. Again, if you have a more rigid brush with a fine point, that won't be something you would have to do. So I'm going to put one right here, and I'm just going to do those little like M birds where we go in the center and then flick outwards and center and flick outwards. It may seem childish, but that's what birds look like from far away. So there's my first little bird. Second one up here. So there's our second one. I'm just going to do one more over here. So those are our 3 birds. And like I said, we're going to do some trees now. So you can live out your Bob Ross dreams and put your happy little trees wherever you want. Let's see. I'm going to start off with the very tippy top of our trees with this little brush. And I'm going to go ahead and sort of plan out where I want them. So I think I'm going to put 3 trees, one here, and then maybe a little one here. I'm going to put this one right there. I'm starting just with little dots that I'm pulling down and outwards, and just as I go down, I'm making them slightly larger. Just be aware of the heel of your hand, because I automatically try to lean against the canvas and it is still wet. You could do these steps after the canvas is dry, but I'm impatient, so want a lot of paint and a little bit of water to make sure the paint flows and drags like you want it to. Just getting bigger and bigger strokes as we go further down, and we're also getting more dents, so it's almost entirely black by the time we get to the bottom, because there's more branches and they're thicker. And it's also darker because the sun is up here, and down here it's totally shrouded in shadows. Still trying to give it texture though. Tree branches. And you can always go back and add some more to straighten things up. And if you make a mistake, like this tree sort of looks like it's curving, nothing is completely straight in nature. There are no straight lines. So if your tree is a little curved, that's fine. That's pretty. That's natural. Okay, so we've done one tree, and so I'm going to put another tree right here. Getting again, I'm just going to start off with those little dots at the top that are the tiny crown of the tree. Start right below, too much water. Just dab that right off. I'm going to start right underneath the bird, sort of like it just took off from the tree. And I'm doing pine trees for mine, just because I think they look nice in the scene, but you can do whatever tree you like. To have some big old branches, very spindly, no leaves, full leaves, whatever season you think it is in your picture. And remember, there is a trunk going through each of these trees, so make sure there's not too much of a bare space in the very middle section. If you wanted to, you could even paint the trunk right in, like so. There we go. So I've got my 2 trees in, and then I'm just gonna put one more right next to this one. Little friend. Let's see. I have a little bit too much paint on my brush. I'm gonna just start right here. Okay. So now you can go ahead, and I recommend taking a big step back and looking it from afar and take a look and see if there's anything you want to change. I think I might darken that up a little. But I think for the most part, I'm happy with this. The good thing about acrylics is they dry super fast, and you can go back and add things as you like them whenever you feel like it. So I'm going to say this is done. So now the only thing left to do is to go ahead and sign it. So making sure my little brush is clean. I'm going to use some white. And that is it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please go ahead and put your beautiful artwork on social media and tag Pamunkey Regional Library. We would love to see it. We're also this October doing an Arttober event where we are highlighting our patrons' art and doing a virtual art exhibit on our Facebook page and on our website. So I forgot the word for website. And on our website. So go ahead and submit that. You can find all the details at PamunkeyRegionalLibrary.org. And I hope you enjoyed yourself. If you would like to see more virtual programming like this, please let us know in the comments. I hope you had lots of fun and had a nice day. Thank you. Bye.